You say you're too busy. Well, what are you spending your time on? Because let me tell you something, this is one of the most important things in your business right now.
And maybe it's just like, hey, I'm here at a customer right now and I just fixed such and such. Or, hey, I've been coaching people for over a decade and here's the things that I've learned. I just work with John and John now doesn't use filler words. Something quick and easy twice a week. That's a good way to get yourself started. For those of you that are starting a business or running a business, you know exactly what this feels like. You walk into the abyss every single day and
Amen.
fight for your life, and you are building skills. You are forging yourself into a better version of yourself. Attention is our number one currency.
You're joining from Australia. We have Nicole, who's from Australia, but joined from America. We have some others coming in. So, really want to welcome you guys to this powerful event. Very intimate, but extremely powerful. We obviously have the wonderful Sean Barnes here, which you guys are going to get to know a lot more during this event. Quick introduction. Again, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. Time. The fact that you can come and here it's 6 in the morning here in Australia. So we have people like Shelter, we have people like Mail who have joined in. The fact that you've woken up to be here, wanting to learn from someone like Sean, to be in this intimate group shows that you're wanting that next level. How can you be more influential? How can you get your voice out there to more people? And that's what really it's about, how to grow your influence, personal branding in 2025. So I'm going to go through a quick agenda. We're not here to sell you anything, guys. This is about how can we give value. Just the same way we come and do podcasting, it's about how can we just share our passions and what we love doing and taking that next level in building our empires with you. So it's a real welcome why influence matters in 2025, a conversation with Sean Barnes, which you guys are going to learn from, straight value and a live Q&A. Really straight talk and really how can we get into it. So a really quick kind of introduction, ETS Rubasha, who we are. Quickly, I wanted to get into it. Why is influence the most valuable currency today? A quick stat is people buy from people. You guys all get it. You guys are all here when you're watching this after on YouTube, turning this into a live podcast. People buy from people. 70%, 76% of B2B buyers are influenced by personal brand over company brand. People trust people, right? And that's why this is incredibly valuable. When you learn to get yourself out there, again, the reason why I'm speaking here with Sean Barnes is because he built a personal brand. He had built a significant brand on LinkedIn, teaching leaders, teaching CEOs. And that's how we connected. That's how we built a podcast. And that's how we're able to communicate. So, a little quick introduction who I am. I started off, guys, as a creator, right? I never had a business. This just came by turning on the camera. And through that, if I just show you here, for example, over my channel, I've had over 14 million views. So if you look at Australia, our population is what, 20 million people in Australia? That's 14 million people. That's quite powerful. So imagine if you could do that. Imagine if you could build an influence, if you could build a following. Now, Sean Barnes wants to create t-shirts. He wants to create a gym line. He wants to create a CEO t-shirt line. Well, he already has an audience, right? He has an audience that he could do that from. So think about it for your business that you want to create things. You're creating new products within your business. If you already have an audience, you already have influence. And when you have influence, you have the world at your feet. And that's how you build an empire. So that's really how we started. Then I started it with my dad, having a podcast, and that's where we are now. So you guys may have already seen this video. We're going to speak to Sean Barnes now. So I just wanted to play it a little bit so you guys get a little bit of context, get a little bit of entertainment and engagement as you're ready to listen to what Sean Barnes has to say and how he started. So this is a quick introduction. Did you get to where you are? Who are you?
I spent the majority of my life as the introverted IT guy. If I didn't know you, I wasn't talking to you. And by most people's standards, I was able to achieve some pretty significant things in corporate America. I kind of climbed that corporate ladder, made it all the way up to VP of IT for a publicly traded oil and gas company, all from hiding behind my keyboard. I was just really good at the technology. I had been in IT for almost 2 decades at that point in time, and I wasn't fulfilled. And the company that I was was working with at the time, my first 4 years that I was there, we had 4 VPs of HR come and go. It was just a revolving door. And I thought, you know what? Leading human resources would probably be a challenge for an introverted IT guy. I'd like to put my hat into the ring, see if I can start trying to lead the human resources team. That is what changed the entire trajectory of my life.
What was your mindset in starting the podcast?
I had this desire to share the lessons that I was learning along the way. I had to figure out how to overcome my fear of public speaking, my fear of talking to strangers that I had never met. 3.5 years of having the podcast and YouTube channel was doing more work on me than I was doing work on the podcast.
Boom. So that's a little bit of an introduction on Sean Barnes and how he's got to where he is now. And yeah, Sean Barnes, I'd love for you to take it away. Really focus on you, on your journey, and how, for the intimate people in this room, we have Shelter, we have Nicole here. How can they use this information, whether that's building a podcast, building a brand, to be able to build their legacies and their business?
Man, I can't thank you enough for that incredible introduction. All the videos that I've seen from you, all the content, it's always top notch. And now I'm hoping that I can actually live up to all of this hype. But yeah, it's been a challenging journey for me. As the video mentioned, I spent the vast majority of my life as the extremely introverted IT guy. I knew that I wanted to accomplish big things. I wasn't outspoken. I was not the type of person to go up on stage. I was the one that would hide behind my keyboard with the office light off and the door closed. Leave me alone. But I also knew that I was meant for more. I was determined to climb that corporate ladder and do big things. Fortunately for me, I had this inclination to lean into technology. And you can be successful in technology operating behind a keyboard. And so I did. I set very specific and targeted goals for myself. By the time I was 25, I wanted a manager title. By the time I was 30, that coveted 6-figure salary. By the time I was 35, VP title. And like clockwork, every single time I was able to hit my target. I was completely and utterly focused on results, on accomplishing whatever mission I set out to accomplish, whatever implementation, whatever data center build, whatever project, delivering over and over and over. And by the time I was in my mid-30s and I had my title, I had the big salary, I had the beautiful house and cars, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I was asking myself, well, what is wrong with me? Like, I have all of these things that society tells me I should have, but I'm missing something. And so I started searching in the company that I was working for ways to challenge myself, because that's ultimately what I figured out. I needed a challenge. And so I started having conversations with presidents and other VPs and executives in the business, trying to ask, can I support you with this? I know that y'all are struggling with this. Oh, no, we're all good. Shut down. Go over to another business unit leader. Hey, what are y'all doing over here? I see that there might be some opportunities. Can I help? No, we're all good. Okay. So I grappled with this for a little while, and then an opportunity started to emerge because I was looking for it. There were 4 vice presidents of HR that came and went the first 4 years that I was with that company. And when the 4th one departed, maybe there was a little bit of ego at play, but I kind of sat back and thought, I can do that. Had a conversation with the CEO, my boss, and said, I would love to lead human resources. And she was baffled. As you might imagine, why would the IT guy want to start coming to lead human resources? And when she recognized that I was serious, she said, okay, well, let's get some time on my calendar and we'll talk through it. So the day finally came, walked into the big, beautiful corner office of the CEO and tried to convince her. And She was intently listening to understand and hearing me out and nodding her head. And I was thinking, okay, this is going really well. And at the end of the conversation, she leaned in and said, Sean, it's people like you that make this company great. It's people like you that are going to continue to make this company great. That being said, we're going to hire an HR executive that actually knows something about HR. Knife to the heart. Okay, well, I'm going to go back to my office and cry now, but thank you for your time. And then a few days go by and I receive an email from her basically saying, thank you once again for stepping up. These are the types of leaders we need in the organization. Hopefully understand where my head is at. We have to do what's best for the corporation. And the last line said, if you'd like to discuss this further, my door is always open. Okay. A few days go by. Hey, me again. I'd like to talk through this some more. And I went in with even more intentionality and was real and raw and vulnerable and said, I don't know payroll processes. I don't know employment law. I don't understand my own benefits, but I know how to solve problems. I know how to map out and improve processes. And these are areas that we have struggled with, I believe, in HR. I said, give me a year to create a foundation for our HR team so that they can work together as a cohesive unit. Once my year is up, I'll step back. We can hire an HR executive, and that HR executive can then launch off of that foundation that we created together. She asked for a year to think about it. She asked for a day to think about it, and she calls me up the next day and says, we'd like for you to continue being the vice president of IT and HR. That was the moment that changed the trajectory of my life. I had to then all of a sudden learn how to communicate to people. I couldn't successfully lead the IT team or the HR team from behind my keyboard anymore. I had to start building skills around reading people, around behavioral styles, learning how to inspire and influence, all of these core and fundamental skills that are required for a leader. Because so many times in our careers, whether we or others that we encounter, they progress and progress, and then they kind of stall out. Because every time we level up in our career, it takes different skills to move to the next level above that. You have to constantly be learning and growing and delivering results. After my first year, instead of me stepping back, they asked me to hold on to HR. Then they asked me to start a project management office and an ESG function. So we did. A few more years go by. They asked me to start leading safety and transportation and start a leadership development function. So by the time I left, I was leading all of the corporate functions at a publicly traded oil and gas company. IT, HR, safety, transportation, ESG, project management, leadership development. And we had directors and vice presidents in all of those functional domains. And a lot of times people ask me how I was able to do all of that. And the reality was, it wasn't me. My skills lied in developing people, teaching them how to successfully build and lead their teams. And yes, on occasion, I would have to dive in and support and help, but my skill set, what I brought to the table was the ability to build high-performing teams and then develop the leaders to then build more high-performing teams. That was my skill set. Now, what does this have to do with personal brand? I would like to make the argument that it's everything, because brand is ultimately just association. What do people associate Sean Barnes with? Yes, the wolf is one element. That's just a logo. But if you think about how people perceive you, what people say about you when you're not in the room. That is your brand. Do you have a brand and reputation for delivering results, for consistency? If I look at the host of the call over here, I can confidently say this man is determined. He is consistent. Every single day, every single week, you can count on him and his team creating content. That's a powerful brand. And yes, creating content is an important component of personal branding, because what you're doing is raising awareness of who you are and what you're capable of and what you are all about. And we can do this in the physical world. We also need to do it in the virtual world. When we develop skills around highlighting who we are and what we do in the virtual world, you can have a much greater impact. I can have one-on-one conversations in person. I can go to networking events and meet handfuls of people, maybe. In the virtual world, there is no limit. If you know how to captivate their attention and you do it well and you inspire and influence and educate and entertain, there's no limit to the impact that you can have in this world. And so whenever I think back about building my personal brand in the way of the wolf, it wasn't intentional in the beginning. I was just working hard. I was getting projects completed. I was climbing that corporate ladder. And I was also building a reputation for delivering results along the way. Also building a reputation for developing other leaders. And I started the podcast about 4 years ago just to share my lessons that I had learned. That was the primary reason, because I wanted to share everything that I'd learned with the world. The second reason was that I knew how much I sucked at communication. And I knew that if I fired up this camera every single day, every single week, that I would get better. Volume negates luck. And I knew if I put in the work, I would get better. And so whenever I look back on my life, I recognize all of these things that I have skills in. These skills were stacking over time to build me into a stronger leader. And having the podcast, I learned how to share that knowledge at scale. And so it's only been the past few years that I've started to become more intentional about delivering a message. How do we become more intentional about delivering impact at scale? Whenever I left my full-time job to start my coaching and consulting business full-time a year and a half ago, I'd been doing it on the side for a few years. But whenever I started my business a year and a half ago, there was only 5 of us. It was a very small team. And one of the people that I was adamant about hiring is our brand manager, because I knew how important it is to have a powerful brand. I knew how important it is for people to connect with me, for people to connect with all of the other members of our team. We talked about it right at the very beginning of the call. People connect with people. People do business with people. Yes, Nike is a logo. Reebok has a logo, of course. But you think about some of the most powerful brands in the world, Tesla. Whether you love them or hate them, everybody knows who Tesla is. Everybody knows who's leading Tesla and SpaceX. The brand associated with someone like Elon Musk is delivering results. And yes, he may have his political leanings one way or the other, but nobody can refute He's the richest man in the world, and he builds massive companies that make a lot of money. He solves problems. That is the brand that he has built. So whenever I think about why building a personal brand is so important, I think it's important to ask yourself the question of, what are you trying to accomplish? If you want to create opportunities where doors will open for you, instead of you just beating and beating and beating down the doors, it's a pretty solid argument for having a personal brand that stands out, having a brand and reputation for delivering results. So that's a little bit about my journey, how I found myself where I am today. I don't want to just sit and talk at all of you for the rest of the call. So I would love to open it up for Q&A, or if this wonderful host has any questions for me or wants to just chop it up. Does that sound fair? Can we actually drop in the chat where y'all are located at?
Mhm. Yes, yes. Please drop in the chat where you guys are located, and that's what I want questions. But like, I want to ask you questions, Sean, a little bit about your journey, so at least it even gives people a little bit more context. So you're starting to get that leadership, and you're looking for fulfillment, right? I want to be fulfilled in what I'm doing. So my question is, can you talk about that transition of now creating content? Because it's all well and good for people to hear it, all create content, build a personal brand. Because what you said is powerful. Building a personal brand is life-changing. You look at Elon Musk. Hey, you look at Elon Musk. You look at even in the political landscape, right? Donald Trump and Kamala, right? Donald Trump won because he went on more podcasts. What does that mean? Well, he just got people to spend more time with him, right? 3 hours, like 2 hour conversations. So you're getting people to spend time with you, right? So can you talk to us a little bit about it? Because it's all good to, well, here, okay, I need to build a personal brand. I need to get content. But Sean, like, it's hard for people, right? So here at ETS Rubasha Media, a lot of our clients, for example, are baby boomers, right? So, they're older, social media is not really their thing. It's like, okay, where do I even start? So how can someone make that practical step on building that personal brand? How, like, and so in your story where you were at a job in that corporate field, and then now to be able to do what you do and have that transition, can you give us a little bit of context on that? And guys, thank you for dropping your locations. We have Adelaide, we have Sydney, Australia, we have Kenya. Again, guys, this is an interactive session, so you can just ask, you can put yourself on unmute and ask your questions, or put it in the chat below.
We're in an interesting time in that it's content is king. Attention is our number one currency. And there's a lot of truth to that. But I think it's also important for us to recognize that we shouldn't create content just for the sake of creating content. Ultimately, on the long run, if you never created anything, it's actually easier than you think. Pull up your cell phone and start talking into it and post it. You probably want to talk about something that you enjoy or that you're passionate about, so that shines through. But even this right here, looking into your phone and posting something for the world to see, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. And some people are okay with it, but most of us have this deathly fear of public speaking, of putting ourselves out there. We'll take pictures and post them to the gram and stuff like that. But once you hit record, once you go live, things get real. And that was the biggest thing that I struggled with in the beginning. I was actually having a conversation with a friend and mentor of mine at the gym before starting the podcast, and said, I really want to be able to share the lessons that I've learned. And he said, start a YouTube channel. It's like, why would I do that? And he's like, Well, you said you wanted to share the lessons. Oh, okay. All right. So a few weeks go by. I put all the thought into it and analyzing, and okay, all right. I made the decision. I'm going to start a channel. I'm going to start creating some content. And I saw him in the gym again. I said, all right, cool. I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to drop an episode every 2 weeks. And he just looked at me. You're going to change the world once every 2 weeks? Really? Okay, I get it. Fine. So I made a commitment to create an episode once a week and have done that without fail the entire time. And layering in pictures, shorts, clips, videos, sharing the lessons that I've learned, talking into my phone. And whenever I started, the topics of conversation were very broad. I talked about leadership and business and IT and HR and fitness and nutrition and cars and working out and hiking and bike. It was just kind of a free for all. Because initially my thought was, well, that's what Joe Rogan does. He just talks about whatever he wants to talk about. Eventually, I started to find my voice. I started to niche down more and more on the topics that I was talking about, on the content that we were creating for a few reasons. But the primary was that's what I love, leadership and business. Those are the things that get me excited. So I started to niche down. And over the years, we gradually got better and better and better at picking the right camera, picking the right microphone, having the right lighting, being able to have a conversation with a stranger and chop it up and provide value to everybody listening. If you go back to the channel, sort by oldest, and watch the first videos, it's going to be quite a stark contrast to where I'm at today. I've grown along the way. So it's a very long-winded way of saying, how do you start? You just start. You just start talking into your phone and talking about something that you love. And the more you do that, the more you talk about making hats. People are going to start to associate you with making hats. The more you talk about growing a garden, people will start thinking of you as the gardener, the go-to gardener. And then one day, your phone's going to ring. Hey, I'm struggling to get these daffodils. Is that a flower? I'm struggling to get these flowers to grow. I've seen some of the content that you're creating. What am I doing wrong? And that's where it starts. And then eventually you get more emails and more text messages and more calls. And then you flip it and start to monetize. And then you get to eventually build a business doing what you love. Or you just do what you love on the side, keep your full-time job, build a side hustle, and make even more to provide for your family or go on vacations or whatever it is that's important to you. Looks like we got a question over here. Oh, man. So I'm going to go ahead. Is it okay if I read it out or do you want to read it? All right. On content creation, sometimes when there's a post, it gets little or no engagement. Hear that. And sometimes people may comment negatively. So when it comes to business and personal branding, is it better to get less engagement than negative comments? Or some may say feedback is crucial, even if it's negative. Would like to get your view on this. I've had some haters on, yeah, I've had some haters come across my feed on occasion, and I make a concerted effort to respond to every single comment. Sometimes I miss them, but I do my absolute best to respond to every single comment, except the haters. On occasion, if somebody leaves a negative comment, I'll respond in some sort of a way to highlight that I appreciate the feedback and I'll work on it. Because sometimes people will talk. Okay, so the wolf logo, for example, on year 1 or 2, I don't remember, somebody made a comment on one of my YouTube channel posts or videos and said, "What is the deal with the wolf? It looks like you're some stupid gamer or something like that." And at first, I had a visceral response of, "Oh, my wolf, are you kidding me?" And then the next day, after sleeping on it, I responded, "Hey, yeah, you know what? I kind of get it. I see where your head is at. Here's why I chose the wolf. Here's why I chose this design. It's important to me because wolves represent loyalty and strength and power, and they take care of the pack. And those are all leadership styles that are important to me, leadership traits that are important to me." And another day goes by, and he responded back and said, "Actually, I looked at your content. I see how consistent you are. I see what you're building. I respect the hustle, man. Keep crushing it." We can't control what others say or do, but how we respond to that negative energy also contributes to our brand. Could I have absolutely and ripped him to shreds? For sure. He hadn't accomplished anything in life. I looked him up, but that wouldn't have served anything. Wouldn't have helped me. Certainly wouldn't have helped him or anybody else. Developing skills around calming yourself when you're attacked and then responding in a positive light, that sends a powerful message. So that's how you respond to the haters or the negative comments. You either don't respond or figure out how to respond in a positive light. I really appreciate that feedback. I will start working on it. And then if they keep coming at you, then you just ignore them. The other piece that you mentioned was, what if you don't get a lot of engagement? And I can assure you, for the first few years, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of engagement. My mom and like 2 or 3 other people were watching, and that's it. Interestingly, that worked in my favor because I was so nervous. I was struggled to articulate my thoughts with filler words and ums and uhs, couldn't look at the camera, all of the things. And so in a weird way, it was actually good that I didn't have any viewers because it was letting me practice and get better. Now, when you think about a business, well, I've got to have all of these followers to be able to monetize my content and my business. Well, no, you just need the right followers. You could have 100 or 300 followers, and if you're able to provide maximal value and every single one of them wants to do business with you, if you're starting a side hustle and all of a sudden 300 people come to you wanting to do business, you're not going to know what to do with it. So don't worry so much on the vanity metrics of, how many impressions do I get? How do I get more followers? Focus more on the depth of the engagement than the width of it. Let's see here.
We got a couple questions that have come through.
Yeah.
I want to quickly touch on something as well that you said,
Mm-hmm.
and also I also can get to Kirsten's questions, and then I can get Sean on that as well. So yeah,
Okay.
I think that's a great point that Claire had asked in that question there on the negative, positive questions. I always like to have the view of I take them all the same, right? Because if I get too excited on the positive one, then when someone writes a negative comment, then that's going to keep me too down. So I like to kind of keep that even pill. But on the negative thing, like I've thought about it, exactly what Sean said there. When someone comes and writes a negative comment, I also there's two ways to go about it. I have empathy for that person because if you're taking time out of your day to come and write a negative comment on my post, then that's more of a reflection of you. Because a lot of people, a lot of CEOs, a lot of people in this Zoom here who are watching or watching on LinkedIn Live, that's some of their fear is like, I love what I'm doing, but I'm a little bit thing of if I get negative comments. So have empathy for someone, but then sometimes it can be feedback. Can you improve in what you're doing? But I want to go on something that Sean touched on and how social media has changed, guys. And this is so valuable on what Sean just said. I got this actually from Gary Vee. Social media has changed, guys, and this leads to, I just saw Kirsten had asked a question. I'll also let Sean Barnes touch on the question that she asked. But social media has changed. Before, it was all about your social graph. What does Sean say? It was my mom, my classmate, a friend who would come and watch my content. Now it's changed into interest graph. Followers don't mean much anymore now. It's all about what you're interested in. What do I mean by that? If I'm posting about golf, guess what? People who are into golf, who are looking for a golf swing or in golf, they're gonna come and find me. If I'm into cooking, if I'm a mother, I could literally build a business in 2025 just showing the meals that I cook for my children. Anything. So that relates to your business. So I just saw Kirsten who had just asked if I'm building a brand and I want to get traction straight away, what's some of the best tips if I look back on that journey? Exactly what Sean said. Whatever you're interested in, whatever your niche is, put content speaking to that audience. Again, things don't happen overnight, quickly, but if you do want the most traction and engagement, something we see works for us and our clients is on your niche, on your topic, and go all in. Put out content, whatever you do, putting out your phone, starting a podcast, things of that nature organically that can help you put that out there. So I just wanted to touch on a few things and let Sean take over there. But I just very, very powerful points and very things that you guys can apply. So please, guys, keep asking questions because this, guys, is valuable. This can change your life. It could literally change your life when you become intentional about this and stop using social media just as a consumer and say, I'm Sean Barnes, I'm Shelter, I'm Mary, I'm whoever, and I can build a media company. I can build my message and build my legacy and be fulfilled and build a business around this. It's quite powerful. So, Sean, I'll let you take it over and just touch on those points. Oh, he's on. You're muted, Sean.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to find a message that I just received recently
Perfect.
that I think will resonate. Here we go.
And just a little bit of context, Sean, how long have you been, I think you've been on, especially like your journey on YouTube, social media, how long has it been for you, just for the people who are listening?
Yeah, about four and a half years almost for
Wow.
me.
You see?
Let's see here. Documents. And bear with me, I should have probably had this.
No, you're right.
Here we go. Let me see if I can share this screenshot that I just grabbed. And then I'm going to talk to it in just a moment.
No.
Here we go. Share.
You may send a request. Feel free to share.
Um, Not screened. Let's see here.
And guys,
I
while
wonder if I can.
Sean is doing that, feel free to ask questions. Don't be shy. You can introduce yourself, sometimes even take yourself off mute, come and ask a question. We're all here to answer. So really well done in the comments. And, we hope we can give you guys as much value. Get to that.
Okay, here we go. I think maybe I can do this now. All
Very,
right. Are y'all able to see this?
yeah, I can see it.
I'm going to let y'all read through it. I received this message just the other day. Now, I don't share that with you to brag. I share that with you because even if you're not getting engagement, people are watching. This particular person has been following for years. I don't know if they've engaged on anything. I really don't. I'm trying to flash back and see because I know who the person is. I can't recall anything that they have engaged on. People are always watching. Even if they don't engage, even if they don't like it or heart it or support it, or people are always watching. And you don't know how much of your content they are going to see, which is why it's important to create consistently. Because let's just say you post 5 days a week, which is a lot. This person may have only seen one every other week, but they saw it. When you create content on your passion, on your purpose, the algorithm is going to push that content to other people that have similar passions, that follow similar pages. You don't have to work so hard to, oh, I got to do this hashtag. I got to post at this time. The algorithms are continuing to evolve and get smarter. As long as you consistently post on something that you are excited about, that you are passionate about, the algorithm will start to do its work. Don't get hung up on impressions and the volume and the likes and why isn't anybody commenting? When you do what you love and you're just educating people or entertaining or inspiring, the algorithm's going to put it in front of the right people. Now, the other part of the question, if I were to start over today, I would spend more time, this is me personally, I would spend more time understanding how the algorithm works and crafting content in a way that supports the algorithm and the viewers. Now, let me give you a little bit more of an example. I'm sure you've heard people talk, you got to have the hook. You got to have the hook. And there is something to that. For far too long, I had this mindset of I'm dropping bombs, I'm dropping knowledge, but the way I communicate, I have pauses. I communicate with intentionality, and I always pull it back and have this message, this idea, this lesson, but I don't rarely ever have a hook. And so when we start exploring that of, hey, if you're struggling with this, here's some stuff that has helped me. 1, 2, 3. Quick, easy, educational. You got to hook them and then leave them with 2 or 3 actionable items where they can go to their garden and do this thing, where they can go to their team and try this thing. Don't get hung up on thumbnails. They help, but it's not crucial. Just get hung up on providing value. And I don't want you to say, oh, well, I've got to have this hook. I've got to have this hashtag. I've got to have this. I've got to have this. That is a miserable path to go down. Oh, they changed the algorithm. I've got to learn this all over again. Just do what you love and let the algorithm do its work. Because everybody's like, oh, the algorithm, oh, the algorithm. All the algorithm is doing is serving up things that people want to see to more people. Create something people want to see. Educate, you can inspire, or you can entertain. Those are the big buckets that you want to focus on. Entertainment is usually a big one because you get a lot of width and you get a ton of views and engagement and shares. Education, less so. But if you have an AC company or a plumbing business or name your business and you start releasing content showing people how to fix things, a lot of business owners have a scarcity mindset of, well, I'm not going to teach them how to do it because then they're not going to come to me. I can assure you, people are not going to want to replace their toilet. They're going to want to pay somebody. Oh, this guy showed me how to fix my sink. And you've already built trust with them by educating them for free. So when the big job comes through, they know who to contact. So I don't know if that helps in terms of the most effective way to build your content quickly. One other item that I would say, follow pages similar to yours. When people comment on it, you respond to their comments and add value. Because a lot of times these big pages, they don't respond to everybody's comments. And so this is kind of like a little hidden gem. You can come in, and I don't want to say sniping their customers, but you can come in and start adding value. If the original poster doesn't respond, just go in and say, oh, you know what? You can actually try this. All of a sudden, wait, who's this Sean guy? That's actually pretty helpful. Then they come over to Sean's profile. Oh, wow, Sean does all of this stuff. So those are a few things that come to mind for me in terms of being able to provide maximal value and grow your brand quickly. Also, one final thing. Spend the majority of your time and energy on the platform that your customers are on. What we have seen on meta platforms, Facebook and Instagram, people don't care about leadership in business. They want to see dogs dancing. On LinkedIn, they care about leadership in business. Nah, not really looking for dogs dancing on LinkedIn. This was a hard lesson for me to learn because I spent 3 years hammering Instagram every single day. Reels, carousels, posts, stories, commenting on people's stuff, like everything. And over 3 years, I added almost 1 follower a day. Over 3 years of that much energy and effort. And I just so happened to look at my growth on LinkedIn over the same period of time. And I was posting like once a week, maybe on LinkedIn. And I was gaining 5 to 6 followers a day on LinkedIn because the content that I was creating resonated with the people on LinkedIn. So understanding your target audience and what platform they're on is also another important thing to consider.
I think that's quite powerful. And I may even have a question. Thanks for the comment, Kirsten. I know, for example, Shelter, she's a CEO of a care services company. So that's great advice when he gave the plumbing example. But I actually want to show you guys something in exactly what it means to have a personal brand. So Sean Barnes, I will literally, so let's say if I meet Sean Barnes, I met him at a networking event or I've seen this event. Okay, who is he, right? So if I Google Sean Barnes, right? This is what a personal brand is really all about. So okay, look. So I just found okay,
So,
this guy,
yeah,
right? Sean Barnes, which is interesting, Sean, because what comes up, what I see, boom, what does it lead me to? Your Instagram, which is kind of interesting. Is that because of all the work that you were
yeah,
putting in? That pops up, which is quite
yeah,
powerful, right? So if I come in, okay, who's Sean
yep,
Barnes? Who is this guy? Who's talking? Boom, this is what I see straight away, right? That's
yeah,
so, guys, if we think about it, this is what changed the game for me. I realized what a personal brand is by doing what? By Google. When you Google yourself, that's going to show you how much content you have in the marketplace. Okay, I'm going to keep going down. Okay, there's some other stuff. Okay, already he's popping up here, he's popping up here. What comes up? Boom, podcast. Okay, now I can. Oh,
Wait,
okay, this is who Sean Barnes is. And then, are you kidding me? Now I can go and see all of this. So now, when it comes to trusting someone, I'm gonna have more of a way to trust you because of what I've seen on Google. And then
mm-hmm,
of course, on YouTube, there's more. I can go in. There's even other people who have had you on their channel. And look, this is not even Sean Barnes's channel, guys. So this is also
yep.
another thing, again, for other people, for you guys to a great way for you to build your brand is also to go on other people's podcasts and things like that. And then boom, look, you even seeing with us together, right? We got
Well
a
done.
oh, we got a cool question. Great tips. A lot of business people are on Instagram though. I do follow a lot of business.
Hmm.
Yeah. Have you got any tips on how to create viral hooks to get people clicking and watching? So I can quickly add on that.
Yep.
It's true. A lot of business people are on Instagram. Like Sean Barnes said, of course, his audience are more on LinkedIn. But even though he said that, you guys just saw it. He still is on Instagram. Their content is still there because there's going to be people there. So again, kind of what Sean said is where your audience is, you want to focus on where your audience is or where they spend most of the time. But yes, you want to be on Instagram and you want to have omnipresence. So we like to break up this thing. It's called 7-11-4. So can you share the same content on both platforms? Okay, I may even also do this because this also may be a little bit easier. Where is it? One second, guys. Sean, if you wanted to add in anything quick.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and chime in, and there's another question a little bit earlier in the call that I'll get to here in a moment as well. But yes, we share a lot of overlapping and similar content across the platforms. However, the way people consume content on TikTok, for example, is very different than LinkedIn, is somewhat different than Instagram and Facebook. And so we release a lot of our podcast and business content across all platforms because we want that omnipresence, but we also see it resonates with certain audiences on certain platforms more. Now, what you will also see on my Instagram page is I weave in a little bit more personal content on Instagram and Meta than I do on LinkedIn. Just because, like, whenever I look at the engagement, the reviews, so you can see me working out. So that's me hosting a workshop with 50 people. And then the other one was me doing a podcast. And then another one was me in the gym. And that's me in an airport. And that's me doing a podcast with a friend at a coffee shop. And so on Instagram, I will weave in a little bit more personal content, inspirational content. This video with my dog Brinkley, she like that killed in terms of engagement, and it was her birthday, and so I was just dancing on the back patio with her. But that's the thing. Dogs dancing seems to do well on Instagram. Nothing about that relates to business, but it seems to do well. So I actually weave in some personal content on Meta platforms that I don't on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. And that's quite powerful because like guys, what you a lot of people, a lot of CEOs, a lot of people you guys in this chat, you may think, oh, I don't want to show my private life and I don't want to do this. Look, I'm not saying you got to show your private life. You can show whatever you want to. But a lot of the times, things like this, even sometimes something like this on LinkedIn can even do wonders because people are so used to seeing business content. When you give them something like family, like a dog, it's like, I'm like that as well. I'm into business. So I think that is also quite a powerful tip that Sean Barnes gave. Something like this on LinkedIn, you'll be even surprised that can like some of my biggest impressions doesn't come from my business content. It actually comes from me being with my family. And so I found that as hook. You want to say something?
Yeah, scroll down just a little bit, the video with me in front of the tunnel. Click on it. You don't have to push the audio. But so this is a video. We were in Williston, North Dakota, doing a leadership workshop, found this tunnel, and basically you could see how many times you're willing to walk into the abyss to follow your dreams. And so there's some music playing in the background. You see me walking into the tunnel. I looped the video, so I go into the abyss, and then I start all over. For those of you that are starting a business or running a business, you know exactly what this feels like. You walk into the abyss every single day and
Amen.
fight for your life, and you are building skills. You are forging yourself into a better version of yourself. And somebody who is willing to do this, they become unbreakable. They become an unstoppable force in life. I shared this video because it's real. Whenever I watch it, it hits me in the gut because I'm living it every single day.
Mm.
And so you can see the range. That's some people might argue that's pretty dark and ominous, but I've got that right next to dancing on my patio with my dog,
Hmm.
and that's life.
Hmm.
We have ebbs and flows and ups and downs and seasons of life. So you can get real and raw and vulnerable. Now, I don't share everything about my personal life, but I control what I share
Hmm.
because everything that I share contributes to the brand that I'm focused on building. So I'm intentional about how much I pull back the curtain because at my core, I'm still a private person. There
Hmm.
are things that you see on my social media, but there's things that I just don't talk about openly because I still value my privacy in certain things. There's certain things in my life that I want to fiercely protect. And the more people that know about them, the more open we are to risk in that regard. And so, yes, I encourage people share things about your personal life, and it will take time for you to determine what that balance looks like, how vulnerable you get, because you don't want to be that person that's going through a breakup and this asshole, I can't believe that. Like, you don't want that on your socials because once it hits the internet, it's forever.
Hmm.
So be a little bit intentional about what you share and know that it's okay to share aspects of your personal life.
Mm. And I see so many like I want to go into a little bit of practical questions, Sean, for people who are watching and they're loving what you're saying. Guys, please ask more questions in terms of the strategies, like again, that was a great question. Can you repost? Can I share the same content? That's what I like to do. I may just change the copy. So again, something that I'll post on LinkedIn. This could be, for example, Sean's is posting here, cool video. I may post this same video but I'll just change the copy. So on Instagram, I'll have a one little copy like this, but on LinkedIn, I might write a little, a little story. Again, that's a little bit
Yeah.
practical. So you can change the copy just for different platforms. Facebook, I think, is a big platform as well. So Sean, I wanted to go into a little bit of like, okay, well, this sounds great. I'll also go on your YouTube channel, but how are you doing this? Like how? Like your production quality is quite great. How are you doing this? For example, a little bit of context. What we like to do is we like to do we have this content pyramid that we have. Again, Gary Vee's done this. You document the pillar content. So, like we're doing, what we like to do, guys, for our CEOs, for our clients, we document things. So I saw Sean there on he was at a coffee place. Da, da, da. That's documenting where you are. I have a camera here in the background that you guys can see here, that you see, microphone, everything. I'm just documenting anything. I'm not going out of my way to put up a
Mhm.
script and say, oh, social media, da, da. I don't have time for that. This is natural. It's in my flow of life. People find this easier. Document that content. And then once we document that, here you, for example, you have YouTube, it's your the pillar content, it's that media company, and then you can repurpose that into small bits of content. So Sean, I wanted to ask you, for the people who are watching this, okay, how are you doing this? If I come across your pages, which I've been doing here, how are you doing all of this? You have thumbnail. Look at this, guys. Thumbnails. This is if I'm coming across the page, I gotta be hooked in. The thumbnail is quite important. Look at that. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
So, I'll go on your LinkedIn as well. How are you doing all of this?
Yeah. This has been a long and arduous process because part of who I am, every time I step into a new domain, I want to learn as much as I possibly can about it. So, creating the content, I've fired up a Canva account and started learning how to create thumbnails. I opened up iMovie on my MacBook and started figuring out how to create the videos.
Mhm.
And for the first few years, I was doing all of it,
Mhm.
every little piece, because I couldn't afford to hire editors. And I think that's a part of the journey that a lot of people go with. Now, after spending a few years of creating videos, long and short form and thumbnails, I got pretty darn good at it. And then the content started getting good enough and the channel started growing. People started reaching out to me. I would love to edit your videos. I would love to edit your videos. Cool. Send me some examples. And this is where it got interesting. Only about half of them could actually do it better than I could.
Wow.
And again, that's not bragging. It was just I had developed skills along the way. And so I was able to be selective on who I used. Now, there's all sorts of AI tools that help with creating clips and thumbnails and all the things for you. I I still prefer human touch. So, how are we doing it today? We have a few people that are actually on the team doing it. Yes, I'm in front of the camera and I do a little bit of editing just because I enjoy it. But then we have for our company a brand manager, which we talked about earlier. And a big part of her role is helping me and our company and the channel curate the brand in the right way. We recently brought on an entry level editor to create even more volume of content. We have third party editors that we'll work with in other parts of the world that can crank out a lot of short form content in a short period of time. And so we have this blended approach. The vast majority of what you see on my personal page, I create. And so that was me playing around with captions and the little templates that they have. I never actually done that before, playing around with it. But what we were just talking about, just capture, just document. All of the video footage, that was just B-roll. That was myself or a member of the team walking around at that event that I was speaking at with our phone rolling. Yeah, play if you just let that one play through. That's all just documented B-roll footage of just like little video clip, little, and then you splice it all together, throw some music to it, and bam, you've got a reel. And so I don't want people to overthink it. I don't want people to think, oh, I got to pay a few $1,000 a month for a content editor. You don't have to start there. You start small. Just releasing the content. Focus on honing your message, providing value to people. We talked about Gary Vee just a little bit ago. The vast majority of his content, it's literally him riding in the backseat of a car, talking into his phone. And it gets millions of views and impressions. Now he has a big following, but he's always done that. He just documents and documents along the way, and like it works out. It's a volume game, which is kind of frustrating for me because I don't want to just sit behind a computer and create content all day. But you have to find a cadence that's sustainable so that you don't burn yourself out trying to create content, trying to figure out the algorithm, because you still have a life that you have to navigate through. You still have a business, you still have a job that you have to perform at. Start small, be consistent, and over time, you will get better. Over time, your follower count will grow. And then one day you'll have a post that pops off and you get 20,000 impressions out of the blue. And you document that. Why did this post do so well? How do I create more content like that while staying true to myself and to my brand? Don't fall victim to, oh, I'm just going to create this because I launched a video of me and my dog dancing on the patio. I'm not going to change my whole brand because one video of me and my dog worked well. Like that would be ludicrous. Why would I do that? And some people do that because they're chasing views. Do you think I'm going to convert any business owners that need coaching because they saw a video of me and my dog on the patio? Probably not. Do you think I'm going to convert one of the business owners that needs coaching off of a reel that got 300 views of me talking about how to unlock potential in their team? Probably.
Just real quick, guys. We got two questions. Very good questions, Sean. Well, actually, the first question is from Shelter. Then I'll go and move on to Kirsten's comment. Real quick, guys, before Sean gets into Shelter's question here, because it's a valuable question, I want you to notice when you went on Sean's profile, he gave an example of Gary Vee. what do you guys see in common? What you can see is common. I can keep scrolling down and just see boom, 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 boom. That's what, guys, this is literally what it should look like for you. You own a business. I know Kirsten said you're so busy. Trust me, I get it. You don't have time for it. You're running in operations. We are all busy. Again, you can see I don't have time to create content, but I have a camera recording. And then again, with systems and operations, you're able to now get that and put it out there. And you can see Sean, for example, he did it himself, right? I know a lot of people might not have time for that. I did it myself as well. I come from that as well. So it's like also now when I hire or when I bring people on the team, I'm getting bang for my buck. I know what I want. So it's very important. Or again, if you're gonna hire, make sure again you're working with people who know what they're doing and who are experts at it. But I just actually want to show a quick video, guys. Actually, I've just come across his profile and actually want you guys to listen to this. Let me put the volume on.
Notice what's happening, right? Like, I literally made you making videos to tell the world who you are, that your name is Giles or Sarah or Rick, and you've been doing this for 17 years. Instead of saying, come and hire me, I'm Giles, I do IT support, you say, hi, I'm Giles, I've done this for 15 years. Let me tell you the 3 things right now that are going on in IT support that small businesses are not seeing. And I'm gonna save you from hiring me because I'm gonna tell you the trick that other IT support people get paid to do that you can fix yourself. Number 1, just reset the router, you idiot.
So, like that's just an example of what he's saying is like, yes, give value, talk about who you are. For example, we have Shelter here. I'm Shelter. I've been working in aged care services for 5 years. You know, I see a lot of business owners in our field going through this, and this is how you could give value, give value. So I think that's quite important. So let's go on to the question there. Sean, do you have it up? I don't know where the question is.
I do. Yeah. So Shelter's question really quickly. Let's see. I think finding some sort of a cadence that works well for you. And the question is, how many times a week should I post? Now, I saw a video recently on Instagram where one of the executives of Instagram was saying you need to post 5 times a day. Most of us have a full-time job and a life, and that's not feasible. But I encourage people, find a cadence that works well for you. And maybe you start off small, 2 posts a week, 3 posts a week. And the argument that a lot of business owners have is, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. And it's really not that hard. Get a tripod, set up your camera, and just record you fixing a sink, and then run it on 2x speed, and then put some stuff in the body of, hey, this is how I fixed this trap in the sink. You don't it's far too easy for us to spend time overthinking how to do the content in the right way instead of just capturing something. And that's the biggest lesson. Capture, take pictures, and maybe it's just like, hey, I'm here at a customer right now and I just fixed such and such. Or, hey, I've been coaching people for over a decade and here's the things that I've learned. I just work with John, and John now doesn't use filler words. Something quick and easy twice a week, that's a good way to get yourself started, because it all comes down to habits. There's a really good book called The Power of Habit that I would encourage you to read. You start off small, set a goal for yourself, challenge yourself. I'm going to make 3 posts a week. And at first it's going to suck. It's going to be just, it's going to be frustrating. And then all of a sudden it's going to be easy. It's like, oh, okay, this takes, just a few minutes. Whenever I create content now, it legitimately takes me a couple of minutes. I have an idea, I'll run into Canva, I'll throw an image together, and then I just type out what my thoughts are, bam, post. And then run over to Instagram, copy, paste. X, copy, paste. It's pretty simple, but you got to start small. Start on whatever platform your followers or potential customers are likely on, and then just 2 to 3 times a week. So you start off small, you start building the habit, you start getting more proficient, and then you ramp it up if you want to, or you ramp it a little bit down. But I would say like minimum 2 posts a week about something. where you're adding value for your customers. Then Kirsten has a comment here or a question about, so busy running my business, so much to do. Adding social media into the mix feels overwhelming. It's important to somehow balance work, personal life, personal brand. Yes, 100%. Now, I work with a lot of executives that say that exact thing to me. And then I go pull up their LinkedIn profile, and it looks like they spent 30 seconds putting a LinkedIn profile together. Whenever we consider the business world, it's far too easy to sit down, spend 30 minutes on a Sunday afternoon or an hour, throw a couple of pictures on your LinkedIn profile, put a banner image up, put a few bullets into what you actually do. And bonus points, just go pull up ChatGPT and say, I'm a vice president of HR. I'm working on building my LinkedIn profile. What should I do? Copy, paste, make some adjustments. Bam. Now you have a homepage so that when people do look you up, you don't look like you just spent 30 seconds throwing a picture of you holding a fish up there. Like, you spend a little bit of energy and effort. You don't have to post every day. You don't have to become a content creator, but make sure that your homepage, when somebody looks you up, looks somewhat professional. And yeah, you got to front load 30 minutes to an hour. And there are coaches and companies that actually help you optimize your LinkedIn profile. And I mean, we do that, but it's far too easy to spend just a little bit of time. And that little bit of time goes a long way, because every single time somebody looks you up, you appear professional and legitimate.
Mm-hmm. And like Sean, I want to add on that. Like, I know this might offend some people, but you say you're too busy. Well, what are you spending your time on? Because let me tell you something. This is one of the most important things in your business right now. I'm going to be dead honest with you. It is the most important thing in your business right now. Let's say you have a good business model. You've already got the systems and operations in place that you've been working on. That's a standard. Yes. This is the most important thing in your business right now. There's no excuses now that I'm too busy. No, because what are you spending your time on? And then it comes to, okay, if you're running a business, yes, you have income coming in. How can you use those resources to invest back into the business, to invest back into your personal brand? Guys, all personal brand is as well is it's your reputation. Like I just did. I Googled who Sean Barnes is. Again, this whole changed for me. Everything changed for me was when I Googled my name. Because what I was doing was I was a creator. I was putting out content, putting out content, putting out content, putting out content, so much content. I wasn't getting paid for it. The day I Googled my name, and then I looked on the first 3 pages of Google, what came up, and then it hit me, this was all worth it. I understand. This was what I was doing. This was what I was doing. Now we live in a world of ChatGPT. People use ChatGPT as a search engine now, right? Who is Sean Barnes? Said ChatGPT. The content that you've been putting out, what you've been putting up against your brand, ChatGPT will formalize and will know who you are. So this is so valuable, guys. This is the most important. I'm not going to lie to you. This is the most important thing. The fact that you're here and that you're here listening to this, listen to what Sean has to say. It's the most important thing that you could literally focus on in your business, because the more people hear about you, the more awareness that you can build, the more money you build, and most important that we're all chasing here is legacy. What are you going to leave when you're no longer on this earth?
I've come to realize that attention is our number one currency. And you were just highlighting it, talking through why that is. If you have a business, the more people that know who you are and what you do, the higher the likelihood will be that you will get more business. And you have to front load a ton of energy and effort to start building that brand, but it starts building momentum. It becomes this flywheel effect. You front load all the energy, and then it gets easier and easier and easier. And all of a sudden, you're no longer chasing leads, scraping the internet for leads lists. All of a sudden, the phone starts ringing. All of a sudden, you start receiving messages like I shared out of the blue. I need help. I need a coach. I've been trying to do this on my own for far too long. Now I need your help. I mean, that message that I shared, I don't think I could come up with a more beautiful way of articulating how powerful this is. In that message, hey, I need help. I've seen the content that you and your brand manager are pushing out. It resonates with me. It's exactly what I need. Will you help me? I didn't have to call him. I didn't have to email him and blow him up and pester him. All I did was provide value. All we did is provide value. And then all of a sudden, what happens in your business is you will start to see an inflection point where you're chasing customers, you're chasing leads. And then all of a sudden, the phone starts ringing. The emails start coming through. Oh, well, this is different. And instead of all this outbound energy and effort, it starts to come inbound. It's about creating opportunities. And when you have a powerful brand focused on delivering results, solving people's problems, making their lives easier, people are going to trust you because you've been creating all this content, you've been solving all their problems, and you haven't asked for a penny. You're building trust. And one day, because of all that trust that you have built, you are going to be the person they call. Not some random paid ad of Joe the plumber. It's going to be Sean, the guy on the internet that has just been teaching me how to fix all my things. And I've fixed my sink and I've fixed my refrigerator. And now my septic system's a mess. And I'm not going to mess with that. I'm going to call the septic guy or the plumber that can fix it. So it's all about creating opportunities. And you don't see an immediate ROI day one. You won't. But the ROI becomes compounding over time. It's such a powerful effect that occurs when you just provide value and people know Sean, leadership, and the wolf. The wolf is the identity. Sean is the face. Leadership in business is what we do, what we are all about. And these are the problems that we solve. If somebody came up to me and said, hey, I've got this IT implementation, can you help? Well, I can. I know how. It's not really core to our business. And even that, well, I was just in New York last week with a customer that needed help with scaling their business. They had 3 different businesses and they experienced a 60% growth in the past year. And they needed help with the people, the processes, and the technology. And so I went and spent an entire week with them. I had no clue who they were. They found me, called me up. Hey, we're struggling with this. Had a discovery call. I talked them through. And then they're like, yes, we need you in New York. When can you come? Like, I didn't call them. They found me. And so I think those are just a few examples that come to mind for me as it pertains to why you want to do this. It's compounding. It's not going to happen overnight, but you got to think about your future. You got to think about what legacy you want to leave. And leaving a legacy is not going to be easy.
Oh, so powerful, guys. Like, really, like, I really hope that can really resonate with you. Like, I want to get flown out to New York for a week. Shit, like, oh man, well, like, guys, but honestly, that's what it's about. You're one piece of content away from, getting a call like that, right? You're one piece of content getting away. Hey, Sean, would love to come and speak to the global leaders of, Dubai or Saudi Arabia, and we want you to come as a speaker. The only way they know about you is because of the brand that you're putting out. And even on what Sean Barnes said, you guys, do you know what's really powerful? Because what he's saying is that, there's sales and then there's branding. Branding is when they come to you. Sales is you going to it. And in every business, you got to do sales. You got to go to people as well. But what's so powerful about that is when you start to build this, you build a system within your business when you're going to sales and going to people, you reach out to them on LinkedIn, you have a team. because you have a brand, even if you're going out to people, they're more likely to respond and maybe bring you business because what are they
Mm.
going to do? You're going to come and message them or email them. What are they going to do? They're going to Google you. They're going to search you up. That's your brand. Or it now comes inbound into you. So it's quite powerful. Oh, we have Kirsten really been helpful. No worries, Kirsten. And Kirsten, any of you guys, you want to connect with Sean Barnes, or if you want to learn, okay, have a discovery call, want to learn closer, feel free. You have Sean on LinkedIn. We'll have the details there. So that's a quick if you had it to go. But yeah, I just wanted to add on that. You're one call away to be a keynote speaker in your industry, get called out to conferences in your industry to speak. Guys, that is what's at stake. When you build a personal brand, you also start to build things not just in your business, now opportunities outside of just your business and ecosystem. You have keynote speaking, you have these different things, inspirational, exactly what he said, legacy, 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 legacy. Quite powerful. Sean, you want to kind of add on that before we, wrap things up and let people, start their day or end their day.
Man, I have such a deep appreciation for your personal brand. You and I haven't had a ton of interactions,
Mhm.
but I was just messaging my brand manager who's on. Shout out to Mary.
Mhm.
She's phenomenal. And she was going on and on about how much she loves your energy. And that is something that stuck with me. One, your energy, you are such a captivating speaker because you're so passionate. And yes, you're great at what you do. So it's your energy, how you're able to captivate people, and your grit and determination. I can count on the fact that you're releasing content all the time. You have a powerful brand. Now, how I just had to share that. The big lesson that I have learned as I reflect back over the past really decade of my life was that I wasn't intentional about building a brand. I was focused on climbing the corporate ladder. And in my corporate career, I did really well for myself financially. Grew up with absolutely nothing, broken home, father abandoned us. It was brutal, and so I was able to build myself into somebody that could deliver results that was focused on achieving something. And then I wanted to figure out how to inspire and influence others to do the same. How to show them that they too can come from a broken home in childhood and build themselves into somebody that can accomplish whatever they want to accomplish in life. That is now my mission and purpose. And I've started to build a brand and reputation along the way for doing that. I gave up my high-paying corporate job. When I first talked to my family about doing that, they thought I had lost my mind. This is my passion. What I'm doing now, this is my way of putting my dent in the universe. And it's only in hindsight that we can see all of the things that we were doing, the skills that we were stacking along the way, the effect that it had. Whenever I was approached about doing this webinar on building a personal brand, I was kind of taken aback. A few months ago, I was asked to come give an opening keynote at a conference in Toronto. And next month, I'm going to be flying out to Toronto to give a keynote on building a personal brand.
Wow.
Never in my life did I think, one, I'd be a public speaker, two, that I'd be talking about building a personal brand. Once you focus on how you are going to change the world, you follow your passion, and then you show others how to do the thing. In life, there's a process. We learn, we earn, and then we return. And if you do that, you will be fulfilled more than you could possibly imagine.
Mm. Powerful, powerful. Guys, very, very powerful tips there and just really inspirational. Sean, before we leave, I just want to ask a quick question on the keynote speaking aspect. How does someone, let's say someone here, because again, like with this model, guys, this will be up on YouTube. Again, there's people in this room. It's an intimate session here. But again, what we do after this is documented and spread out to the world. A quick thing, Sean was there documenting an event. He was keynote speaking. Guys, do you know how many people I meet and I get surprised? They go to events like that, they're speaking, they're in these rooms, and they don't document. You don't record it. It's crazy to me. But my question is, Sean, on the keynote speaking, right? You said in Toronto, you have some coming inbound. How can one put themselves in a position whether sometimes they got to go out and reach out to people to be a keynote speaker, again, kind of reaching out. But when you have a personal brand, when you reach out, they can look at who you are. So, yeah, how can now one who's also aspiring to be a keynote speaker get into that position and get these bookings outside of just their day-to-day business?
Yeah, so there's a few things that come to mind for me. It's significantly easier to land speaking gigs if you have accomplished something meaningful or if you have a strong personal brand. Now, it's easier to build a personal brand. I started building my personal brand as being the vice president of IT who started leading HR. That perks some curiosity for sure. And I was invited to come sit on a panel discussion at first. And then I did pretty decent at it. Now, I'd spent a little bit of time before sitting on that panel learning public speaking, going to Toastmasters, hiring public speaking coaches, going to workshops. I had to be able to clearly articulate my thoughts and share what I had learned. But one, if you have built a business or you have led a strong team, you just start talking about your journey and the things that you have done. Now, for those people that are at a different stage in their leadership journey or their career, maybe they haven't built and exited a massive business. Maybe they haven't worked their way up to the top of a Fortune 500 company. That's okay because you can still impact people that are at a different season of their lives by sharing what you have learned. So when you start building a personal brand, people can quickly reference you and look you up and see, has this person done something meaningful? Have they set up the first speeches that I gave? I legitimately set my cell phone up on a tripod in the back of the room just to capture something.
You had to. Yeah.
And some event organizers won't let you record, but as you build credibility, as you build a stronger brand, okay. I'm going to get into power dynamics a little bit here. I don't want to deep dive into it because we're over, but the more powerful of a brand you have, the more power you have when it comes to negotiating, getting on stage. If you have never given a speech and you approach an event organizer, who has the most power? Of course, the event organizer. You have to convince them to get on your stage. And if you're a small business owner, maybe you have to sponsor the event just to get some time on the stage. And if you're starting out, maybe that's a cost that's a worthwhile investment for you. Early on with our company, like we were sponsoring events. Now we couldn't spend tons of money, but it opened a door and I could spend a little bit of money sponsoring an event and I could convince them, hey, can I be the master of ceremonies? Can I chair the event? All of a sudden, you're in front of everybody for an entire day introducing other speakers. And while you might not give a keynote, you're in front of everybody the whole time. You're capturing pictures, you're capturing video. All right, so I just had to go down that little bit of a tangent there. But accomplish something meaningful. You can sponsor to get on stages, build a strong personal brand, capture it all along the way, and then it becomes compounding over time. So if you have accomplished something big and meaningful, it's easier to get on a stage than if you haven't yet. You can always find a stage to get on for sure. Maybe you go to the college and say, "Hey, I would love to talk about how I built my business." And that stage might be 40 college kids that are close to graduating that just want to learn a little bit about business. But you got to start somewhere. My first speaking engagement was 5 years ago, maybe, and I just sat on a panel. My next one after that, they said, "Hey, you did a pretty good job on that panel. We have this inner circle dinner. There's going to be about 60 people. Will you kind of chair the dinner?" All right, cool. Now, I didn't get paid anything for it. I didn't pay to go on stage, and they didn't pay me anything. And for the for for the vast majority of my public speaking events, like if you go on my website, Mary dropped it in the chat, you can look at a lot of the historical speaking engagements that I've done. For the first few years, I didn't get paid for any of them. I just wanted the opportunity to step on the stage. And now people reach out to me and say, "Hey, I would love for you to come to our conference and talk on leadership. I would love for you to come chair our conference." Cool. Here's my speaking fees. This is what it looks like. Cool. Okay. Now and I just tell them, I'm going to have my videographer. We're going to set up a few cameras. You'll get access to all the B-roll. And even if they don't allow it, then the power dynamic works in such a way of I can say, "Oh, well, if you don't allow it, then, maybe I'm not the right speaker." Well, maybe I can get the approval. Maybe I can get the approval. So the power dynamics will shift over time. And the more powerful of a personal brand you have, the more negotiating power you have when it comes to that. So for the aspiring public speakers out there, there is a whole process. I'm very open and transparent about my journey. I know there's a lot of businesses out there that run paid ads. "Oh, if you're struggling to get paid speaking engagements, all you got to do is buy my system and you'll get a $20,000 key." No, it does not work. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, it does not work. There is a process, but it's not like spend $400 on my speaking course and all of a sudden you'll get booked on stages. It doesn't work that way. This is another avenue that is just compounding over time.
Powerful, powerful stuff. And just to add on that, like what Sean said there, again, practical stuff, like even those events where you'll go and speak for free, or you're going and volunteering, or you sponsor one, at the end of the day, when you document it, people don't know that was a free gig that you did. That could have been paid. But because you documented it, you're showing yourself. So when someone wants to hire you, or you want to go and to someone, they can go and see documentation. Again, advice, what I would do, put that up on YouTube. Put it up on YouTube where people can see it, and then you can repurpose that content again, kind of again, similar thing like I was showing you guys. You're doing a keynote speech. This is a perfect example. Create micro content. This is a keynote speech that he's done. It's about 2 hours there. You can see there, right? Once you have the pillar, now you can get that and take snippets from that and put it out there as well. And that could be a free one that you did, but because you documented, now you can do this. And then now you can spread it into an article. You can turn that video you did, you can now turn that into an article. You can turn it into, so you're literally going to be everywhere. McDonald's, Apple, all of these people, they are everywhere. So why can't you do the same thing? We run off that same principle. You see McDonald's every single way. You see these guys keep showing up everywhere. Well, why can't you do the same thing? You can do the same thing. And so I think those are great things that he was saying. But document. Once you document your keynote speaking, people don't know that you did that for free. No one knows that. All they see, they could have been paid for all I know.
Man, I have got to drop off. I am so sorry. Yes. This has been such an incredible conversation. Hopefully we're able to provide enough value. Mary dropped our website in the chat. Feel free to go check it out whenever you want. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. But man, I cannot thank you enough for this incredible opportunity to come on and hopefully provide value to all of your viewers and listeners.
Yes. Thank you guys all for tuning in. And this is just the beginning. Again, Sean, in years, the vision I see, we're hosting events. Hey, Sean, we want you to come speak in Saudi Arabia. What's your fee? Okay, boom. Yeah, boom. Sean's one of our keynote speakers. Like, this is just the start. We started like this, doing a webinar. We have an intimate group here of business owners. And guys, if you want to work with Sean, you can work with him anywhere in the world. Have the website there. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and we can help you, build your legacy and empire. And if this is something that you want to be a part of. Thank you guys for everyone for taking time out of your day, your morning, your evening, wherever you are. People will see this all over social media after. So we thank you guys so much. Tune in, and yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks, guys.
Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Marketing is all about storytelling. Dad, when we first started this business, what did you say to me?
I said, yes, we do a podcast.
Why?
Because I want to tell our story.
Why?
Because I know the story builds a legacy.
Builds a legacy. And that is exactly what we do here at ETS Rubasha Media. We market your story on social media so you could build a legacy for those who come after you, to build your business and your personal brand.
Yeah, follow us on our platform. Go on our website, etsrubashamedia.com.
This is about legacy, and it is about showing up on social media every single day, because if you don't show up, your competition will.
If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to click here, and I'm sure you're gonna love that one.